reason why I want to make sure that you guys are ready to really discuss next level issues and topics, because they're coming out and we have to stay ahead of some things, right? The worst thing that I've ever seen in my life is the look in people's faces that I believe the Lord has shown me over time. What's going to happen to folks when it finally sinks in that this world, it is not what they thought it was. Man has created a narrative. Man has created an image of what life is, of what the world is, of what existence is. That's going to be challenged. When it is challenged, there are the young folks out there that are ready to they can identify with it. It will give many older people, meaning those over the age of 40, a type of problem. It's going to be difficult for many of them to deal with, to engage with life, knowing it's not what they thought it was. A weakened foundation. It's not going to bode very well. That outcome we can see in the Word of God also. There's a prophecy in the book of Baruch, in the Bible, in the book of Enoch, right? The book of Esdras, that people will begin to ask themselves and begin to really believe, has God forgotten us? They'll be overwhelmed with too many conditions. Too much of a change will take away normalcy, sharing everybody into a world that's very hyper, forever changing, and to a great many scary. If we cannot be experts on the knowledge of men, begin to receive and to accept the simplicity of what the Lord has taught us, we'd be better off. We would. It's our innate desire to attempt to answer questions, of course. We're curious. But we've come to so many conclusions, denied so many things, that even in this disclosure they're about to have, right? It's not going to be a straightforward, but a bombardment of information, of facts, of testimony of people coming forward. Many of you are going to see the truth of it right away. But there are too many people out there that are afraid of this subject. They're going to have to face it. If you've ever encountered a person that gets angry when you start talking about prophecy, chances are they are afraid of what that prophecy foretells. If you ever encounter a person who gets angry at the topic of other life or other things just because they are afraid, fear makes you angry. You don't want to deal with it. Fear can do that. And Lord knows, there are some prophecies put forward that do exist. People may not be sure. They may not. People are going to have to deal with the spiritual manifestations of a brand new realm to them. They're going to have to see shapes, some gargantuan, some not. They're going to have to deal with that. Full manifestations of military forces that are non-human. Think about that. Or not human as they are right now. Constant assaults, spiritual assault, of which many will have no protection. I'm going to say that again. There will be spiritual assaults, of which many will have no protection. So let me give you my greatest concern. I'm going to go ahead and voice it right now. There are many folks who say they are saved, yet they're frustrated, angry, overwhelmed. You do realize that's impossible for a person to be frustrated, overwhelmed, have all these manifestations of assault upon them, yet they're washed by the blood of the Lamb. That means something is wrong right now. They're not fully covered right now. Before the manifestations have taken place, the time we live in right now, people are being overrun already. We have to put a halt to that. In my mind, it's our duty to one another to put an end to that. Because we can. And it only requires all of us encouraging the truth, not our truth, our Father's truth. It requires us to draw a line between what we think is truth and what the truth actually is. Our concept of truth, well, that's one thing. But our Father's righteousness, we can look into that and see truth. That is the truth. We live by ideas, theories, concepts, ideologies. Our Father does not exist that way. He operates from a foundation of love, of order, absolute truth, justice. Time for us to adopt all of those things, not to impose upon each other, but to truly discern it. I'll say it again, many people are spiritually overrun right now. What are they going to do when the real manifestations take place? Because for the most part, people have dealt with low-level entities. That's it. Low-level entities. Soon they'll be overrun. And anybody who's in that path of disobedience will surely start paying a price. Why would that be? Why is that going to happen to anybody who's called correction? The Father does not want us upholding any falsehoods, thinking that we're truly secure when we are not. So he's going to show us where our reach points are. And you guys remember what the Lord showed me a long time ago. That storm that came. When he conveyed to me that everybody had trash in their foundations. The trash in the foundation is the environment in which you were raised, the belief system you operate under. Nobody can change that. That's trash in the foundation. Every person represents a house that was in that dream. And in those houses, they were made from different materials. But only stone is going to survive the storm. Following the storm, some people will only have a few blocks left. But the rest of the material that they were made of will be burnt up. Some people will have a lot of stone. They'll still have whole places missing. Some will not exist at all. They'll be totally consumed by the fire. Because everything they were had no stones in it. Their house had no stones in it. This hot storm that's coming is designed to burn up all the trash in our foundations so that only the truth is left. All lies are going to be burnt up. all falsehoods disintegrated. All the trash in our foundations will be burned. In that dream, the Lord told me, I can't do anything about the trash. Nobody else can either. The trash is guarded by giants. Those giants represent ideologies, long-held beliefs, traditions, belief systems that nobody has been able to nor can change. But when the storm comes, it will deal with them. This storm will consume everything it touches. It is necessary. It's our victory, it's our freedom. We won't be free unless the storm comes. If I was a house, that house represented me, and the foundation of that house would be trash. Trash from other people, right, that have sown into my life. Trash from things I have seen that possibly worked, and I took that as truth. Trash from being convinced this must be this way. Trash from the acceptance of those I respected, and I accepted their trash, adding trash to my trash. The truth I hold within myself, God's truth, would be stone. There would be false materials in the construction of that place which represents me. So you would see a place that has brick, but it still has other materials embedded in there and trash in the foundations. If the storm does not come, if it doesn't come, then I'd be convinced that what I believe right now is the truth. I'd have no correction to anything that was wrong. If the Lord allowed me to enter into eternal life, I would most certainly invite corruption into a place where no corruption exists. Well, that's not going to happen. Refinement will happen. So a hot storm is coming. Oh, by the way, the trash, which are a multitude of things that we believe are real and true and sound, because nothing has showed us the contrary. That trash is guarded by giants. So what are the giants? The giants are global ideologies. The giants are proofs in physics, right? For example, a car is a pretty efficient vehicle. It's a good idea. But what if I were to all of a sudden tell you cars are a terrible idea? And cars are the reason that many are failing in one certain area of life. Nobody would believe that. They would say it's gibberish. Why? Because nobody can prove it. Right? Because it cannot be proven. That would be a giant. A giant is something that safeguards the trash. What if you read something from your favorite author and it was absolutely wrong, but nobody had proven it wrong and most people accept it? To you, that would be truth. But in God's eyes, it would be trash. And until it's proven wrong, until it's made to fail right in your hands, you would believe it's truth. See, there are some things we very close that we believe are truth. Nobody can convince us otherwise. And it's guarded by centuries of other folks and things that have not spoken against it. People, they truly believe that tomatoes are healthy. That's what they believe, right? You could tell a person a tomato slowly kills you every single day. Who's going to believe that? People use tomatoes every single day. They're not going to believe that. Well, now they may believe some of it, but they won't believe that. Correct? God will bring the truth out of everything. Those giants, the proven ideas, these long-held beliefs and traditions, the ways that we operate. There are people out there right now, they really do believe that the way this world is run by mankind is a God-given way, and it is not. God speaks against just about every way man is conducting his life. But who can prove that to be true? Because most people will argue against it. If they're getting along fine, they would say, well, I can still be blessed. They would compensate for it. So what I'm telling you right now is that if anything came to us to tell the absolute truth, it'd be very difficult for people to accept that truth. They wouldn't be able to hear it because of all the things that are in place. Those are giants. Giants protect the trash in our foundations. Giants safeguard the ideologies sewn into our foundations. When the storm comes, it will burn up those giants and the trash. It'll burn up every false way, every ideology God did not give us, every lie we ever held as truth. It'll burn up everything that's not him. And when that storm is finished, some people are going to be missing big chunks out of their house. Remember, the house represents the person. The basement represents the foundation of that person. With the trash burned up in the basements, that'll be one part of deliverance. But the other part are the false materials, what we built ourselves up on. In the structure, which is called us, there are falsehoods that hold us up. Falsehoods. Not only do we have trash in our foundations, but we indeed have built our lives with false materials. Some are real, some are not. In the case of the storm, it's going to burn everything that's not stone. The stone will not burn, but everything else will. Everything else. It's going to look like some certain people have fallen apart. It's going to burn away long-held hopes that we had. Suppose a person is hoping in something God never promised, and they built their life up on this false hope. Would that be false materials? Yeah. The storm is coming to burn it all away. It is necessary for deliverance. Once it passes, and only truth is left, the true rebuild begins. The true rebuild. No falsehoods. No trash. Absolute liberty. That's what's coming. Before that storm comes, everyone's houses will be finished, whether by falsehoods or truth, but everyone's houses are going to be finished. That means get ready for many, many hidden things to be shown to you all at one time. Some will be lies and some will be truth. And such certain truths of mankind are quite destructive. God's truth is not. That storm must come. I'm hoping to get people prepared for this storm. Because whether they're ready or not, or they think they're ready or not, it's coming. It's coming outside of everybody's timing. If a person were to look into their lives right now by way of truth, they would see that they have some shortcomings. Shortcomings we should have had fixed, prepared, healed long before Christ ever came. But let's go ahead and face it. The truth is, we become complacent when things are working okay, don't we? When things are okay, that's when we become complacent. That's when we work slower, thinking, okay, well, the worst is over. I can take my time. We instantly do that. And by doing so, we slow down our own process. Nobody else has slowed our process. We did. Because sometimes we think, okay, we stop forging, going forward, being diligent. We relax, enjoy ourselves here and there. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's out of timing. Right now is certainly not the time to relax, but a time to sure up, to make sure that everything we have and believe in is of the Lord. Not by the methods and ways the world proposes, not necessarily by the ways we've all been taught, but certainly by prayer, by faith, learning to receive things of the Spirit, trying everything by that measure of truth. Because if anything is of God, it will not fail. Do you know that? But everything else will. And how many things have failed in our lives? You don't have to answer that, but it should tell us how many times we've been living our lives without elements of our Father involved. Now with the world coming out with a multitude of things, your mind is going to turn into mush. Let me share truth with you guys. You're going to learn the actual truth of this weird story about Earth and the moon, right? Men going to the moon or not. And at first, it's going to seem strange, but with your internal confirmation, which is a compass of truth, the Lord put that in you. You're going to find out about these large mountains that were wiped out of the photos, that were artificial mountains, nonetheless. The same mountains that are on our seafloor, the exact same mountains that are on our seafloors. We're not talking about pyramids. I said mountains. You're going to hear a narrative that puts you very close to 1,000-year reign. You're going to see a history that actually took place upon the earth that's been in plain sight but hidden this entire time. You're going to learn how technology, what it turns into, and you'll spot it everywhere. We're not talking about fossil. We're talking about machines and what happens to machines when they get very old. The sheer mass and size of some of these machines is impossible. You'll find out that Earth has a few structures stacked upon themselves. Large graves that are impossible. And sea life that'll cause everybody to run out of the water and never return. Yet, you've been living side by side with it this entire time. In fact, you've been living side by side with many things all this time. Because you don't know about it, you operate normally. That's been the status quo, to have people operate normally. Why would anybody ever do that? Why would anybody want you to operate normally and not give you the truth about this world? They never wanted you to have the truth. They want you to feel comfy. So they put you into a system without walls, a system without locks. And in that system, you have chosen to be a part of that system. Nobody forced you. Take a side note. If Satan forces you, if evil forces you to do something, then that won't be on you. That charge is not upon you. That charge is upon evil. I'm going to say that again. If evil forces you to do something, then the charge of that evil, the consequences of that evil are not upon you, but upon evil itself. But then if you join evil on your own accord, you will face the penalty. That's how your adversary works. He does not force you to do evil things, to partake of evil activities. But he built a system that if a person does not believe in the principles of Jesus of Nazareth, they believe that they have no choice. And they, of their own accord, become one with evil itself to survive. Has been the formula for a long time. How many can confirm that internally? That in this world, the true way to survive is to willingly join in with evil things from time to time. Your neighbors may not know it, your friends may not know it, other people may not know it, but we know it's the truth. There's only one pathway to promotion in this world, and that is to partake of things you shouldn't, to accept things you shouldn't. That's how this system works. Time to wake up to that, wouldn't you say? You can't be promoted without somebody else getting the boot. Should we partake of anything like that? No, we should not. The system makes it seem like you have no choice. Now, no one's forcing you to do it. We make an internal necessity within ourselves, and then we tell ourselves we have to do it. The truth is, we do not have to do it. And then we join into it of our own free will. Thus, we carry the weights of that wrongdoing. But Christ was sent for such things. He does not cover up any sin. He redeems us from sin when we are ready to repent. Can I say that one more time? Jesus does not cover up any sin. His sacrifice, it stands for those who desire to not be a part of iniquity anymore. And they can be forgiven by the blood of the Lamb. I hope to get you guys ready for that. Can you all see the necessity in that? So tonight, I'm going to bring up a couple of things. I want you guys to see some things for yourselves. I want to shake you up a little bit, just a little bit, so that we can reason together as we move forward, to move forward with a clear goal, so that we all understand what adversary stands against us, so that we can prevail in the name of the Lord for his purpose and cause. And possibly for the first time, somebody may possibly go forward for the Lord's cause and not their own. I know that when they do that, if anybody would go forward for the Lord's cause, that's the moment they truly understand where they are. It's not a fault to not realize where you are. It's not a fault to have been duped into choosing some evil thing to get ahead. You've been surviving. Many ways have been held back from you. The Lord gave us those ways, but let's go ahead and face it. Sometimes the ways given to us in righteousness are challenged by every speech, every commercial, every printed item, all the education and everything else is formulated to cause us not to fully believe in the Word of God. Let's go ahead and face it. Let's go ahead and face it. These systems of the world do fight our faith in the Word of God. If you believe in the system, you're not going to have faith in the living God all the way. And if you have faith in the living God all the way, you cannot believe in these systems. They are truly birds of a feather. But these feathers are very different. And the birds, far apart. Plus, they're quite serious about bombarding you. There's been another order that was given today. So if I seem to step up my efforts to keep pace with this, you'll understand. You'll understand. Do you guys really think they're just going to let the private community come out with some sort of disclosure thing? You're going to be hit from so many different directions. And right now, the observers are positioning. Now, that's no joke, and I can't tell you any more than that, but the observers are positioning right now. Right now. So that's not a joke. That's quite serious. Nothing will prohibit a person from noticing them. You will notice them. But you might want to be ready to fight your own mind, because your mind's going to betray you. Your senses may betray you. You very well may. But your world is changing quickly. There's only one remedy, one shield, and all of it comes from our Father's truth. We're the children called into that truth, not the world's truth, Father's truth. Let's get prepared, shall we? Oh, by the way, we have a rainstorm that stretches from Texas. It'll be formed from Texas all the way to Maine again. Floods. They're starting. You guys, I want you guys to also, if you can, I'm going to help you guys do this, but track the weather. Track it. Because they're telling people now to prepare their homes for floods. The hail is already beginning. It's already starting. These things are already beginning. At breakneck speed, they're starting to form. So we're going to be dealing with lots of water, droughts. These floods concern me. They concern me. They really do concern me. Water is a very, very formidable element. It's very intrusive. And it will not yield because something is in the way. I'm going to help you be ready, though. I'll be back in a few minutes right here at the Council of Time. So I'll be back. Stand by. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, everybody. Today is one of those days. My goodness, I got to clear my screen here, guys. It is full of stuff. It is. By the way, do you guys have any concern? Do you guys have concerns about what you see happening slowly but surely? You guys have those concerns? Let me give you an example. You guys remember a long time ago, somebody asked me, they said, Mike, when will World War III begin? You guys remember my response? Anybody remember? I gave you guys a set of coordinates. You remember those coordinates? They're soon to move to those coordinates. They are. soon to move to them. Hopefully you're keeping those coordinates. Because when there's activity at those coordinates, with an Islamic base, that's it. That will be that day. It'll be that day. This when it will begin. The shuffling will have begun. Okay? There are already orders for that to take place. You know that, right? See, as the Kurds begin to reprioritize Syria, Turkey, and some other factions are reprioritizing some things. Saudi Arabia is they're going to reprioritize some things. They're doing it right now. And it's somewhat spooky to watch because their plans are clear. Counterparts are verifying it. And so get ready, right? Get ready. Get ready. People have their plans. But behind the scenes is an adversary who is maneuvering all pieces that do not belong to the Most High. Just as sure, and just so you understand this, how can Satan just use folks that possibly we prayed for or go against plans that we prayed for? It's easy. Hear me on this. Whenever you're out of character, overwhelmed by emotions, you too can be used against other people. For example, there have been times you guys have given your life to Christ, but there have been times you have engaged with another person and you knew it was wrong. And you knew after the fact it was wrong. Right? And a bit of darkness hovers over that situation as an example of how the adversary can use us in a moment of weakness, because in that moment of weakness, we're not choosing Christ. We're choosing something other than Christ. That's how that works. So in a moment of weakness, the adversary can use us, which is why Jesus, when he told the disciples to pray with him, you guys remember that? He said, pray with me. And then they fell asleep. What did Jesus respond with? He said, you can't pray with me for 1 hour. And then he said it. He said, don't you know the adversary desires you? That's what he said. And why would Jesus say that in the first place? He was telling them, number one, he asked them to pray with him for an hour. They fell asleep. When you fall asleep, that represents what? Weakness. You're not in any active mode with the Lord. And when this happens, your adversary will begin to utilize you almost instantly. So I'm telling you this so that you'll never say, well, not me. Because the truth is, if we let our guard down, the moment we're not actively walking righteousness, we have chosen a different path. Can you all see that? It is that plain. That plain. The true question is, how do you walk in righteousness on a continuous basis? Well, it's to keep Jesus at the forefront of your mind, not at the back of your mind. And what I mean by that is this. There are so many decisions and things that we do. When it falls apart, that's when we go pray, right? When we get in trouble, we go pray, correct? This happens because we went forward without Christ at the forefront of our minds, in our plans, in our motivations, right? We didn't even think about that. We really think from time to time we can do things absent the Lord that has nothing to do with the Lord. And so we go forward to do these things. When they fall apart and they cost us something, that's when we stop, fall to our knees and pray and say, Lord, help me. That's when you have Christ as your last resort. When Christ should be your first resort. Thus, the forefront of your mind. not the back of your mind. Does that make sense? If we could do this, instead of going to do something, do it with the Lord in mind. Do it with righteousness in mind. That is not to determine if it's, righteous in your eyes or not. But pray about it before you ever do it. Let your motivations always be connected to your Father in heaven, the Lord, your purpose here, and seek his permission, seek his guidance going forward. You'd be surprised how everything will change in your life when you do that. Also, this is a hard one, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's so many times when we have done things we shouldn't do as though God cannot see it. There are concepts we think on. And we do that as though the Lord is not interested. Yes, he is. He can both see it, hear it. All your concepts, they're not hidden from him. Our filth and our goodness is visible to the Most High. Our intent is everything. And we are creatures of flesh. So your intent is everything. If God blesses your intent, then there's power in the steps you take. So your intent is everything. Everything. But that's when you reflect. You reflect, somebody says, what type of something? Well, that's when you reflect upon yourselves. How many times have we engaged in something that was not holy? In other words, Christ would not do it. The prophets wouldn't do it. Devout disciples wouldn't do it. Why would we do it? Why would we entertain something that would be filth in the eyes of the Most High? Think about it. Why would we ingest something, whether through our minds, through what we see, through what we hear, what we put ourselves in subjection to? Why would we ever take things in that God would reject? We do that, don't we? These are refinement points. Things that we can work on, things we should work on. This is how people are going to find themselves in a very weakened state. It's also how people will have deceived themselves, thinking somehow they're okay. And God had given them conviction concerning a multitude of things, but they didn't act on them. So, if we can begin to act on them and develop a habit of acting on those things, and simply say, Lord, thank you for that correction. Because we know certain things are unholy. Why would we entertain them? Make those choices. Your life changes. Now, we're not talking about your life changing, that you win the lottery and can live in a mansion. Forget those things. God will bless you as your calling permits. And that should be sufficient for all of us. But I'm talking about your life will be enriched. Your hearing clarified. Your sight expanded. Right? Conviction very clear. Your joy fulfilled. Peace established. If we forget that, if we don't take that up daily, we are prone to walk side by side with unrighteous things, and it's our choice. See, we were raised in a world of unrighteousness, but we did not see it that way all the way. We listened to music, didn't we? Music, people think music is harmless. That's what we think. But indeed, when we react to a situation, haven't you found yourself reacting in accordance with a song? These things are sewn into us. Your reaction is a direct result of what you've been exposed to, of what you accept as truth. The way you dress yourself is influenced by other people. Other people made the clothes. We emulate. We emulate behaviors, all sorts of things. So shouldn't our motivation be bound in righteousness? Not the world. That's what we have to see, acknowledge, and begin to break. But yes, we were raised in a world that was essentially not with holiness. It's okay in the world for you to go listen to some disgusting music. It's okay in the world to fill up your brain with a bunch of movies and books that God would never allow to be at his throne. We're running around with all these ideas and things in our heads. And when you do something in life, you're drawn upon those things you've been exposed to. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you experience becomes part of your realities. You will draw upon them to do things. So we have to be careful of what we fill ourselves up with. Because whatever you fill yourself up with, that's what keeps coming out beyond your power. Some people say they have anger issues. It's because you filled up with angry subjects, angry things and angry thoughts. They build up and they will start to come out, even beyond your control. Some people have filled themselves with thoughts. They've entertained too much betrayal, right? Too many stories of betrayal, too many things. And so that when something starts to happen, they jump off the deep end immediately, not ready to forgive, but ready to deal with it in accordance to what they have seen by way of reference in the world or something like that. Well, the Lord gave us a way to get away from that. He gave us a way. And salvation, us being Christians, are choices. We have to really begin to examine our own choices. It really is a matter of choice. God's not going to force any righteousness upon us. If we don't choose it, if we don't choose righteousness, we'll not have the benefit of righteousness. And we will end up with what we really have chosen. Those who really choose salvation, they have truthfully chosen the ways of Christ, and they agree with him. A person who agrees with the gospel and the ways of Christ, there's no way they're going to continue to go through the world corrupted. There's no way that's going to happen. Those who continue to choose the ways of mankind, the ways of mankind will grow within them, and it will outweigh everything in the end. And they're going to find themselves having no salvation. That? So it's not, a lot of us have worn our bodies out, did things to our bodies we shouldn't have done, exposed it to things we shouldn't have exposed it to. For example, war is really no different than tattoos. It isn't, right? When like me, for example, I used to volunteer to do any and everything. And Lord knows I put this body through the ringer, right? Those are things I chose. Nobody tricked me into doing it. That's why I have to deal with certain consequences of my choices. That's why some of you have to deal with certain consequences of your choices. You've asked the Lord to heal certain things in your life, yet you're not healed. Why? Because you're the one that chose that path above everything else. And when you choose that path, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. You guys understand? Somebody says, Chappie says, in human trafficking and subjects like that. Let me share this with you. How many of you have talked to somebody who's been trafficked? Anybody out there talk to any women or men, children who have been trafficked? I've talked to lots of them. Right? Some are not what you think. But the Lord is certainly at work in others, even though their bodies are broken in some cases. Right? Even though they were taken like they were, once you thoroughly analyze the whole situation, you begin to see it. But I tell you, the Lord does not make mistakes, nor has he lost control. You better believe that. See, the Lord will send his vessels on the inside of every rotten thing that ever happened. Do you know that? Every camp of the enemy has a saint in it. Every camp of the enemy has had a saint inside of it. Once a saint is inside, now that person may not know that God has chosen them at that time, but they will experience and learn what has happened to them. When they get delivered from that thing on the outside, should they belong to the Most High, they will have the eyes and the experience to halt that operation from being effective in the lives of innocents. The other part of that is this. How many people understand the responsibility of a Christian in society? If we fail to obey the Lord, what did he promise would happen to us and our children and children's children? Anybody know? If we, having been called of the Lord, reject his calling, reject his holiness, reject his righteousness, is something going to happen to us and our offspring? Yes, it will. They won't be covered. See, because in that case, they have to make a free will choice on their own. Everyone does. Everyone does, no matter who they are. Everyone does. They have to make a free will choice. Should you ever side with the enemy, you're not protecting your children. You're leaving them uncovered. See, there are too many parents who do not pray for their children. And that's when the enemy gets their children before the age of accountability to attempt to corrupt them, to do all sorts of things with them. Now, yes, you have a lot of these women and these young women who have been snatched up because they were highly mischievous and rebellious. That's a fact. That's a fact. But I tell you, the Lord hasn't gone asleep at the wheel. The Lord never stops working. The Lord's will is being fulfilled every single day perfectly, without flaw, without mistakes, and no regrets. Perfectly. We just have to catch up to what he's doing. He's already given us the truth. He already told us what to do. When we choose not to obey the living God, we put ourselves in danger and other people in danger. That'd be like you going out with a car and you refuse to obey traffic laws. What's going to happen to you? If you go out in your car on the freeway, highway, and you refuse to obey traffic laws, what's going to happen to you? Don't you have a higher chance of a fatality? Of course you do, but you already know the consequences, don't you? You already know the consequences, right? Now, somebody else may look at you, ooh, that's cool, that person didn't obey it. They're going to emulate you. Just, you're the rebellious one out there not obeying traffic laws, but you're inspiring other people to do the same. Now, the other people are somewhat innocent, so they'll get in a car crash. Some of them may be maimed. When they heal and when they get older, that situation will have turned them around. God will have saved their souls through that situation because they will begin to intercede in other people's lives who may also encounter rebellious people who refuse to obey traffic laws and they'll be compelled to teach the importance of those traffic laws. See the difference? They will have stopped the work of the adversary. So here it is. It is mankind who enables the enemy's plans to go forward. And it is God utilizing his children to interrupt the plans of the enemy right here on this earth. It never stops. That's called a war. Do you all see how that works? Isn't that what's in the Word of God? Isn't that same scenario in the Word of God? In a multitude of different categories, but same scenario. People who choose to rebel against God, doing things they shouldn't, inspiring others to do the same thing, but then God will send one of his children into that situation. They get hurt by that situation, captured by that situation, and then when they come out, They become an advocate for doing things right again, fighting that rebellious thread in the world. That's been happening since the beginning. God uses us to overturn these camps of darkness. Us. Because Satan utilizes us to sow threads of darkness all over the place. And as it says in the Old Testament, whom shall he send? Whom shall he send? Who can understand this and still say, yes, Lord? Who can say, yes, Lord, knowing that they could be stripped in life? I tell you, people have things pinned up in them. They'll snap in a moment's notice. Wouldn't it be awesome if a person would utilize that intestinal fortitude to follow righteousness, to be used as a vessel in any occasion for the Lord, to say, yes, Lord, send me, no matter what the cost is. I'll do it. But go ahead and face it. We have become soft. We want the goodness of the Lord, and we don't want to lose sleep over anything. We just want the good stuff. That's what people have become. They do not want to endure hardship, and they certainly won't endure it for a stranger. Will they? That's what people have become. They want the goodness of the Lord, and they feel they should have to do nothing to get it. Well, I'm not like that. I'm no one's Rambo. I don't want to be Rambo. But I've given my life to the Lord, literally. My life is not mine. I choose to fulfill the will of God as God calls me. I've already said yes to it, no matter what. I don't need to know what it is. I just need to know what direction to start going forward in. I'm not concerned about the cost. I'm concerned about the completion of the task. I know that going forward in this world with righteousness is going to cost you just about everything. I already know that. I choose my Father's way. I certainly don't need compensation. My motivation is I'm not doing what I'm doing to get to heaven. In other words, I'm not doing what I'm doing just to say, oh Lord, I'm going to just do this and spend all my time with you in heaven.